Things are heating up in the NHL, and I know I said in the title of this video that I don't like it, but I'm gonna be honest, I low-key kinda do. Because this is exciting, this is storytelling, this is years and years of a narrative that has been built up to this point, that now, when you take a look at what's going on in the NHL defenseman point-scoring race, you have yourselves a two-headed monster matchup that seems like it could persist and probably will persist for the rest of the season. Now, as you know, the entire year has been dominated by talks of the Vancouver Canucks. Elias Pettersson, JT Miller, and Quinn Hughes are all at the top of the NHL in points. They are 1, 2, and 3. They are tied. Quinn Hughes, of course, being the captain of this team, has been sort of the oil that allows this machine to function. Everything functions throughout Quinn Hughes and his mobility, his puck movement, his offensive vision, his prowess in the O-zone. He's so good, and he has been number one in the NHL in points for a few days now. Also, of course, because he is number one in points, he happens to be number one in defenseman points. Hey, go figure, that's how it works, right? The guy who's number one for everybody is number one for the defenseman. And with 28 points this season, Quinn Hughes has been so gosh darn good, but the thing is, when I say that there is a two-headed monster race going on here, oh boy, do I mean it. Because if you take a look at who was recently named the first star of the week earlier today by the NHL for the entire NHL, we have to talk today about the Colorado Avalanche and Cale Makar. Because this guy, number one star of the week, 1 goal, 7 assists for 8 total points in 3 games played. Let's go over onto the NHL's website, the Makar, Nylander, Crosby 3 Stars of the Week article, and read what it has to say about Makar. Cale Makar, who collected multiple points in all 3 of his games this week, led the NHL with 7 assists and 8 points in this span, powering the Avalanche to a perfect week. He scored an insurance goal early in the third period and added a helper in a 5-1 victory over the Kraken on November 13th, and he then recorded his 13th career 3-assist and 23rd career 3-point performance in an 8-2 win against the Anaheim Ducks on November 15th. He capped the week with 3 more helpers in a 6-3 triumph versus the Dallas Stars November 18th, becoming the fastest defenseman in NHL history to reach the 200-assist milestone. He did so in 254 games. The 25-year-old Makar, who had won the Calder Memorial Trophy during his rookie campaign in 2019-20, and since has added the James Norris Memorial Trophy, Conn Smythe Trophy, and Stanley Cup to his resume, ranks among the top defensemen in assists, points, and goals through 16 total games this season. He has compiled 1 goal, 12 assists for 13 goals during an active 6-game assist and point streak dating back to November 7th. And oh my goodness, Cale Makar just went out there and heard all the discourse about Quinn Hughes and how good this guy has been and said, nah, remember who won the Hobey Baker in our final NCAA years? Remember who won the Calder in the very next year in the NHL after that? Yeah, Cale Makar has been one-upping Quinn Hughes every single time, and this has been a pattern that is sort of, I don't want to say bothered, hasn't really bothered, like most Canucks fans. I think a lot of Canucks fans are just kind of grateful that Quinn Hughes is indeed a good enough defenseman as he is, but throughout their entire careers, Makar and Hughes have sort of been in this race where Makar has always edged out on top. First to the Norris, first to the Conn Smythe, first to the Stanley Cup, Hobey Baker winner, Calder winner. Quinn Hughes was a runner-up in a bunch of these categories, not in the Stanley Cup, by the way. Yeah, Canucks have really not gotten that far yet, but Quinn being second to Cale Makar throughout their entire careers made this season all the more interesting, because once Quinn got off to that super hot start, he is up there with Miller and Petey, number one in the NHL in points. Everybody's talking about how he's been dominant. He was first star of the week a few weeks ago, so there you go, right? Everything seems to be falling into place for Quinn Hughes to have skyrocketed, catapulted, just launched himself into the top defenseman of the league category. And for a good chunk of the season, you could very well say that was the case, that he was the best player. He was the best defenseman. He's a Norris candidate. He may even still be the Norris frontrunner. Cale Makar this season has a lower points per game, And he's got a lower amount of points. Quinn Hughes has 28 points in 18 games. Makar has 24 points in 16. The points per game is slightly edged out by Quinn. However, Cale Makar's most recent week and point production stint, I mean, if you go back to the article, he has 13 points in a 6-game point streak dating back to November 7th. He's been at over 2 points a game spanning back the past few weeks. Now, of course, Cale Makar is not going to be 2 points a game the entire season, right? I mean, nobody's really that good to be that high up. Even Connor McDavid didn't do that last year. But still, just this stint, just this one few-week segment where Cale Makar showcased that, hey, I'm still here, everybody. Like, don't automatically give Quinn Hughes that Norris because he's still got some competition. He's going to have to beat me out for it. And the thing is, even though Cale Makar has had a lower points per game number than Quinn, even though the points technically are in Quinn's favor, I feel like when I watch a lot of these games, you know, sometimes the Colorado Avalanche find themselves on the MyTV screens once in a while. For some reason, I feel like Quinn Hughes has been playing a tad worse than we know he can be the past few games. Like, the entire team has been pretty shaky the past little while. We've talked about this, the Great Regression. Elias Pettersson's got a problem. Quinn Hughes, even in these games where he's going out there getting 3 points himself, he's still not looking as good as he could. I'm not gonna lie. But for Cale Makar, that guy's looking better than ever. Like, if I had to do a power rankings based off of how these defensemen have played just within the past week and a half, 2 weeks or so, I'd say that Cale Makar is probably number 1. Hughes is maybe 2, or you could debate even further down, but let's just say 2 for the sake of making things interesting. Quinn Hughes and the Vancouver Canucks have sort of hit a little bit of a road bump, but that's okay because we expect them to become better over the next few games and hopefully recover from that. For Cale Makar, though, this has been the guy's week. He has been so good, and that assist record, fastest defenseman in NHL history to reach 200 assists. Yeah, that's funny because Cale Makar ended up breaking the Quinn Hughes record by 9 games played. Quinn Hughes reached this mark like sometime earlier last year in March. So for Cale Makar to go out there and break it with 9 games as the difference maker here, it's just yet another feat of Cale beating out Quinn. This happens so much. And the thing is, when I think about Quinn Hughes, ever since the guy was drafted, and I'm going to go out there on the record and say that I had this opinion 5 years ago in 2018, but ever since the guy was drafted, and ever since he made his debut, he played his games, he did his thing, there was this idea in my mind, and I think in most of y'all's minds as well, that, hey, Quinn Hughes will most likely be a Norris winner one day. Like, it's tough to say that about anybody, but when it comes to the talent profile that he possesses, there is nothing that's going to stop him from becoming a total beast and probably becoming a Norris winner. Like, there are a few defensemen in the NHL that are so good, so young, and so talented at once that you're like, yeah, Rasmus Dahlin is going to win a Norris. Miro Heiskanen is probably going to win a Norris. If Owen Power continues going the way he is, he's probably got at least one Norris to his name too. Cale Makar, Adam Fox, they've already won, but before their winning seasons, I mean, you all saw, yeah, they're good enough to, like, eventually win one day. Quinn Hughes is in that conversation. So, Canucks fans, we all knew, or at least some of us felt that this was a possibility that he would go out there and win. But in this season's worth of play, where he's been given the best shot and the best start to be able to do that, hey, guess what? Cale Makar's knocking on his door. He's right in the shadows, in the coattails. He is in Quinn's rear view mirror. And I'm getting kind of scared about it. Now, of course, this is not a bad thing. We like seeing NHL competition. We like seeing good players go out there and exhibit good things. But at the end of the day, today's NHL weekly rankings of players went out there and put Cale Makar as the number 1 guy, and for very good reason. And it's gotten me thinking about this Quinn Hughes-Cale Makar race, because all of a sudden now, things are starting to heat up. So, if you're a Canucks fan, Avalanche fan, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about this entire season's worth of play so far. What are your thoughts on the defenseman scoring points race? What are your thoughts on the Norris race as well? Hughes, I think, by reputation and what people have been saying, might be at the number 1 spot for the Norris, but that was mostly carried, I'd feel, by the beginning parts of the season. Cale Makar has exploded the past few weeks, and everything's getting a lot tighter. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about this entire race here. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.